beautiful souls. Welcome to the New Earth Conversations. I am Ness, your host. Thank you for joining us. So, these conversations are designed to help you anchor into 5D. So, in today's episode, we're going to talk about Divine Mother with Adi Lambourne, who is our guest today, and she will be sharing her wisdom and she will be sharing a transmission from Divine Mother in a moment. So, welcome, Adi. Welcome to the New Earth Conversation.
Thank you so much, Ness, and everyone for being here and receiving this information from Divine Mother. As you said, there is a dimension that we refer to as the new earth, and my purpose in this life is to be part of creating the new earth. It is a process that many of us incarnated for in this lifetime. It is something that we really either were called to do. It is our big mission. We can have a planetary mission, we can have a local mission, we can have a personal mission. But so many of us on this planet right now are co creating this new reality for humanity and for planet Earth. So for me, when I was born with my guides immediately talking to me since I was a small child. And my life pretty much has been just about doing the work. And so once you have the clairvoyant sight as a child and you have your guides, it's kind of easy. So I think it's a really a big advantage to be able to communicate with these high level guides. One of my biggest and most important guides when I was younger and smaller was Yogananda. Yogananda is a very important yogi master who lived on planet Earth, but he's still available to all of us to work with him. His guiding principle was Divine Mother. So I call him a yogi, and yet he really didn't do yoga that we think of. And so he was teaching me how to get the energy that we can call Kundalini rise through the spine, through meditation, and then to bring the energy to the pineal gland and really change who we are from within. At one point, he would put his energetic hands on top of my head, and this happened in Encinitas in California, where he has his hermitage. And he approached me, and we worked together for many years actually. But when he put his hands on top of my head, he put this electricity down my nervous system. And I would say that really was the biggest life-changing moment of my life that allowed me to actually see the layers of creation in 12 dimensions, to encounter the being that we can call Divine Mother, but also to encounter Source or Christ. So I think, we all came with different guides, different missions, different setup. And we have been preparing for this lifetime for a very long time, because this is not a new story. Basically, what is happening on planet Earth now, and why are we having a conversation about something that people call the new Earth? And I only share information that I know from my experiences with my guides and traveling out of body and doing a lot of meditation and a lot of activations that, the more we do, the more we get. So basically, and I don't mean on the outside, I mean on the inside. So the more I worked with my guides and guide, especially Yogananda, the more I was able to see, the more I was able to really understand, and the more I understood my own purpose or our collective purpose. So that's what I will share. So basically, planet Earth is part of the cosmic body. Now, cosmos is not only a universe. When some people manifest, they say, I ask universe, but actually there is something that is called the cosmos, and it is the multitude of universes. Now, there is such thing as source, and source we can understand in terms of physics or astronomy as the Big Bang. Now, that source is really the creative beginning, the primordial source of all that is. It is really in existence, and it is always in existence. Just because Big Bang happened, zillions of years ago, it doesn't mean that it stopped, because cosmos is constantly expanding through creation. Now, when we speak about Divine Mother, she is the cosmic body that comes out of source. She comes out of the Big Bang. She is the creation as well as the creator. Now, Divine Mother can also embody in all sorts of beings. And so, to understand Divine Mother, it is actually impossible with our human brain. So, some people, in our past, like the Gnostics, they called her Sophia. But Sophia really is a Greek word which means wisdom. And so, yes, if we want to call creation wisdom, then we can call her Sophia, but that is not her name. And that is because there is no name that can be given to Divine Mother. The only way to describe her is cosmic body of all that is, and all that ever has been, and all that ever will be. Now, we can give her names, like the yogis called her Adi, Shakti, or we can call her Shekinah, and it's all good. We can give her any name and she will take it because she is all those forms. She is all that ever has been manifested and all that also has not been manifested. And so, the easiest way to really understand Divine Mother is to look at the sky, to look at the planet, to look at nature, to look at your own body, and to say, all this is Divine Mother. Divine Mother truly is the creator. So, in our religious traditions, we were led and misled to believe that we have some kind of God. But the thing is that we also do have a lot of creator beings. And so we can easily be fooled when we see, let's say, a Pleiadian being or who knows what being from other dimensions, and they can, seem like they are gods, they are creator beings. And then if we are in illusion and we don't really understand who we can totally start believing that whoever comes from the sky is also a god. And I think that's how our religions really started. And they got a little confused about all the beings from other dimensions. And that's okay, because everything is okay. In the field of Divine Mother, she only understands the world as perfect. In her world, everything is perfect, even if it is dysfunctional. And that's hard to believe because we would think that there must be things that are wrong. But in her understanding of all things, everything eventually becomes harmonious. Now, Divine Mother, if you think of her as the entire cosmos made up of different universes, and then each universe has different systems, and we happen to be in one of the small solar systems in a galaxy, and then we happen to be on such a small planet. So, how does it fit into the body of the cosmic goddess? Well, it's like you have a body, and if one little part of you was not doing well, then you would like it to be more harmonious. And even though you are so big, it doesn't really bother you if one cell is not doing well. But at the same time, wouldn't it be nice if that one cell was also doing well? And this is planet Earth. We are this tiny little particle in the cosmic body of Divine Mother. And what happened on planet Earth a very long time ago, and this is information that I've been receiving for a very long time from my guides and from my journeys out of body, is that planet Earth has gone through different worlds. So there was a world when there was no life as such on planet Earth. And Divine Mother, you can think of her as the rainbow serpent. And why is she called the rainbow serpent? When you look at like Aboriginal traditions, they absolutely call the creator being the rainbow serpent. And it is because from source come frequencies. And these frequencies, of course, have not only frequency as sound, but also frequency as color spectrum. And when light comes out of source, it always comes out as rainbow light. So our entire cosmic creation is based in rainbow light. And I think that's why people love rainbows. And so when this beautiful rainbow frequency that we can call Divine Mother, we can call Creator, came to planet Earth to create what we call nature and life. This was, of course, billions of years ago. Then, at the point of the inception of life on planet Earth, many of us who are here now came out of her body to be the rainbow beings who co created life on planet Earth. At that point, planet Earth was called Mu, not even Lemuria. Lemuria came after, but Mu was the original name of planet Earth. Now, Mu also in these cosmic languages means mother. And that's why so many languages that we have actually have the word for a mother that starts with an M to still resonate with that original frequency. Now, when we first, and I said there are many of us here right now who were the original I would call it the original co-creators of life on planet Earth. Thing is that Divine Mother is life. She is nature. And mystics really learn through meditation that Divine Mother is manifested in nature. That includes also the human body. So the form that we are in is nature. We are actually inside of nature. As a non-physical being, you have a physical body. So you are the non-physical and the physical. You are Divine Mother manifested in nature, but also you are Divine Mother as the soul. And so Divine Mother would be the creator of life on planet Earth. And we came with her. And we are here now, these rainbow children, rainbow beings. And I don't want to call us children because of age, but because we came from her body. And so we helped to create the elemental kingdom. We created the waters, we created the mountains, we created the body of this beautiful planet so that eventually we could have beings here. Now, the first beings that came, they would be non-physical etheric beings, but they would be made of light, of course, very different from today's human beings. And they were sustained by the light of this beautiful frequency, the rainbow serpent. Now, she would be inside the earth as well, and she would emanate the rainbow light through the planet. That would mean that every being on this planet that was evolving here would be sustained by this rainbow frequency. There was no need to have, like today when we need to eat and we need so much, right? But this also included the plant kingdom. And I don't want to say kingdom, let's call it queendom, but also the animal queendom. And so all was sustained because in the cosmic field of creation, there is no need for things like money or even really food. It all just becomes a necessity when we disconnect from the fullness of what is possible. Now, fast forward as beings started to evolve on planet Earth and we ended up in places like Lemuria, this frequency of rainbow light that is really the Divine Mother, it is the Divine Feminine. She was meant to be only used to create more beauty, more perfection, more harmony and expansion, because that is the real true nature of cosmic creation. It is to always create more of what already is perfect and to make it even more perfect and to expand the cosmic body of Divine Mother. Now, what happened is that some beings realized that when you take this life force, you could also create something which is not perfect. And of course, we now know, living in this world as we do, that we also learned as a collective to miscreate, to misuse life force, and to misuse Divine Feminine. And this Divine Feminine has nothing to do with a woman or not a woman. It is simply life force. She is like, the milk of a mother. Every child can have it, but it seems like some children on planet Earth started to misusing this life force. And so every time we would suddenly feel like we can get angry or we can say words that do not honor love or compassion or oneness. So just simply by using our body, our thoughts, our feelings, and our actions and our words, we started to miscreate. And miscreation is the opposite of obviously what creation should be. So instead of being these beautiful artists, creators within the cosmic body of Divine Mother, where we would be painting these beautiful worlds into being, we suddenly started to create what we now know as suffering, or as we also can call it evil. Because when you look at, let's say, abuse or killing, obviously we would call that evil. And so it was us who started to create darkness. There is a big difference between darkness and darkness. So there is darkness as the void of Divine Mother, that is the unmanifested energy. She uses that to create. So there is empty space between, obviously, stars and galaxies. And that is good darkness. We need that darkness. But then we started to create real darkness. So when you think again of Divine Mother as the cosmic serpent, then that was the cosmic serpent of light. But every time a human being would misuse life force, which really moves through us as a serpent, then we would create serpents of darkness. And so all our negative words, and lack of unity consciousness, and even hurting each other or ourselves, all created this dark life force. And as we are now, you know, again, this was Lemuria, then it came Atlantis, and there was a problem. The problem was that the more we misused life force, the more we disconnected planet Earth from the magnetic field of really the cosmic web of life. And there is a reason for that. If you have a child who is misusing all the money you give it, let's say the child would be buying the wrong thing every day and hurting itself, herself, himself, then you as a parent decide to stop giving that money to that child, right? But if you have a child who's always, multiplying and doing great in the world, then you want to give more to that child. So planet Earth, really, humanity, became like the child who was constantly misusing all that you give it. And so it was really a decision that happened on planet Earth after Atlantis, was to stop giving human beings so much life force, because if you give it so much life force, they will miscreate so much and create more and more and more distortion. And so we ended up in a place right now. Last time we reset our reality 12,000 years ago when we had the big flood. And I personally know that I was there. I have memories, very clear, unfortunately, memories of why it happened, what happened. When the flood came, we really, once again, misused life force. And this is the biggest thing, that we've now had 12,000 years of even more misusing of life force. It's really our human history. So when you think of wars, that's just the beginning. We are constantly showing basically our lack of understanding of unity, which is only one body of the goddess. She is one cosmos. And so if we fight against, let's say, a partner, family, and that's just the beginning of all things, then we are constantly displaying our lack of understanding that we all are within one cosmic body of the goddess. It would be almost like having cells within your body that fight against other cells of your body, and we call that cancer, or we call it autoimmune disease. And so we became that kind of disease. And all of us are guilty, really. I have past lives where I absolutely misuse life force. And when we do that, we get so stuck. We have to incarnate again and again. And that's just our past. But now we are in this very special time and space moment. We have been through a lot as humanity. And Divine Mother had to disconnect from us as life force to almost like 99% of disconnect, so that we just barely stay alive, just survive, like we have been surviving our lives, have very short lifespan of 80 years, and get sick and die. So that was our past. But now, in 2019, 2020, and now, we have received immense activations from, I would say, sources that really want to restore balance on planet Earth. And these sources care so much about planet Earth, a little bit less about humanity, I must say, because we are those misbehaving children. But because they care so much about planet Earth, they want planet Earth to be restored. And the way that they want to do it is, and it's actually you and me and all of you who are these light work, I call us light workers still, even though that's not a great name, but we are the beings who have a mission to assist planet Earth in changing her own reality and to returning back to her light. So planet Earth, as I mentioned, she used to emanate rainbow light. And that rainbow light would not only sustain all beings on her, including animals, plants, humans, but also it would create this connection to all that is within the cosmic body, which is filled with love. Now, love in the cosmos is a magnetic force. So you can think of the cosmos as being one huge magnetic field that keeps everything in harmony. And when one part becomes disharmonious, it actually kind of falls away from that harmonic field. But when we are now embodied on planet Earth, we are returning Mother Earth to her harmony. to her rainbow light. And we do it through the work that we do, but also we do it simply by being here. So let's say if your light body is filled with pure coding of rainbow light and you have these high frequencies and you have spent so many lifetimes preparing for this, then all you need to do is be here now. And there is nothing really you can do on the outside to make up for your light body. Your light body is really what gives the light back to the earth. And of course, we can do a lot of work in this world, but simply by being here and really taking care of the light body, it is the biggest mission we have. As we do that, all of us, many of us, not everybody on this planet really is aware, right? But for those of us who are aware, when we can connect our lights, our light bodies into this new network, into this new grid, or you can call it the body of Mother Earth, then we can create this beautiful rainbow garment of light for planet Earth. And this is what we are doing. This process, some people call it ascension, some people call it going from the old Earth to the new Earth. You can call it whatever it is, but basically, it is simply returning planet Earth back into the life force that she used to have. We are here embodied on planet Earth doing the work, but a lot of work is done by all these beings throughout cosmos and especially our galaxy who are assisting. It needs to be done by those forces that are external as well as the forces that are here on planet Earth. It really requires collaboration. And so simply by being connected to Divine Mother and inviting her into your own body, into your own light body every day, that will assist her to expand her own body of light throughout this planet. So, the greatest thing that we can do every day is to connect with Mother. Mother, which is not only our planet, but the mother that is this cosmic mother that could be called any name. She can also be called the Green Tara. So in, Tibetan Buddhism, they called her the Tara. And for me, she appeared as the green Tara, showing me the mystery of life and how she needs to have her rainbow body again, and that we are co-creating her rainbow body. So in Tibet, they always depict her with the rainbow body around her. And so that's just another representation. It just helps us to understand the vastness of Divine Mother. Now, when we invite Divine Mother, the best way to do it is simply by chanting Om, which is her primordial sound of creation. That is the frequency when she emanates from Source. That is the sound of her creation. And so the more we can chant Om, the more we actually repair this quantum field of planet Earth. And it's a very simple task we can take on every day. Chant in the shower, I think, is even better because you are connected to water, and water is the element of Divine Mother. She is obviously water-based here on planet Earth. So life comes from her water and her intelligence. And so once you invite Divine Mother into your body, because the body belongs to her, you can emanate this rainbow light and be selfless in your service by offering your rainbow light to her body. And that will create the new earth. The new earth is a dimension that already exists, but this dimension already exists and many people can visit it and we can travel to different dimensions, but this is one of the dimensions. But the only way to bring it down here again is when we anchor it. And it is those who can anchor it that can really bring it as a reality for the rest of us. Now, to anchor this dimension means to step back into consciousness and to start using life force 100% to serve the cosmic mother. And the only way to do it, which is not something that humans are used to, I'm not used to it either. We have thoughts that go against Divine Mother's nature, really. Anytime we worry, anytime we have fear, some very basic fears like fear of death, those are not at all ideas that exist within her consciousness. Yeah, because in her consciousness, everything is love and everything is just expanding into more love. And everything is just creation that needs to create more of itself. So that's pretty much the story of Divine Mother, the way that I share it. And when I share, it comes from the frequency of her being within my body. And I only share when she's inside of me, so that I share it the way that, you know, it can really activate our own consciousness and understanding. So thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing so many information, teachings, and wisdom just literally in a few minutes, you know. So it was wonderful. And I loved you said so many things, but one thing really, actually a few things, but one of them really caught my attention, is about how there is the source, and out of the source Divine Mother was born. I've actually never heard that concept I mean, maybe I've heard it, but I didn't see it this way. What I was used to hearing anyway, it was that Divine Mother, she is the creatrix of all life. But I think that it's just the way you said it probably just caught my attention, that there was the source, and then there she comes. I thought she was the source herself. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely. And I really can just share the way that she shows me, and that,
Yeah.
you know, she often takes me out of body,
Mm.
and we travel to different parts of cosmos, and she shows me how things work. And so I have it like in my mind's eye. So the way that I describe it, that if you imagine that there was a cosmic egg and there was nothing in existence, but there was this consciousness which was very condensed, it had every potential within it, and there was no creation, there was nothing, there was the beginning right before Big Bang. And then of course from this cosmic egg came this amazing tension, and it was this creative tension, the desire to get to know itself. And the only way that, when this explosion happened, you know, there was the Big Bang, where source pretty much came into an explosive existence of all potentialities, so suddenly everything just became possible, but there was no creation. Then it was the divine feminine, the mother, that became the creator. And she came from that cosmic egg as a polarity of source. And we talked about Christ consciousness, and that is a really important energy actually to speak about.
Mm.
So, Divine Mother, she creates in duality. And this is very strange to us humans, where we have been told that duality is bad. She actually uses light and darkness to create. So basically, those are her two brushes, right? She has the brush of the light, which has all colors of the rainbow. And then she also has the brush of the unmanifested energy that some people call the void. So it's almost like the yin and yang is the most perfect symbol that I know that represents Divine Mother. She is the light, but she also is that which is not visible. So now Divine Mother is a very passionate creator. You can imagine her as the most talented artist that wants to create as much art as possible and never ever run out of ideas. That's why creativity is so important, and so important that we return creativity back to humanity, because we're so disconnected from being creative beings, right? Just look at our school system. And so, or our jobs usually. So creativity is the nature of Divine Mother. Now, because she creates millions, zillions, infinite amount of worlds, beings can get lost in those worlds. And the only way to find yourself and find your way back to source is through what we can call Christ consciousness. Now, not everybody will like the name Christ consciousness, and really, there is no reason to call it that. It again is just the word that came from Greek, and it just means the anointed one. And it's kind of silly for, you know, like in our human history, we really don't remember our real history. We don't even, most historians don't even believe the flood ever happened, so we don't really seem to like to think too far. And so to call it Christ, right, we need to examine why we call things Christ or Sophia. It's Greek words. I mean, it really is no reason for us to do that. But When you think of the Divine Mother as the yin and yang, and she will really even fool you with how many worlds she wants to create and creates. She is a storyteller, she tells stories. And you want to find your way really back to source, back to that 0 point, then what we call Christ consciousness is the portal in between. And so when Jesus, let's say he really did exist and he was an embodiment of this energy that we call Christ consciousness, just like many others. And when he was saying, the way back to the Father is through him, and of course, Christianity kind of misused that, but that's fine. So, what he really meant was saying that the only way back to source is through that 0 point, that intelligence, where it's like nothingness in the middle of all that is, beyond all stories. There is a portal that feels like nothingness. It is the divine intelligence. It really has the 0 point in it. It's beyond all stories, and that is what we call Christ. So if you imagine the symbol for infinity, the point in the middle is what we would call that Christ intelligence. And that leads straight to source beyond all the stories and creation. So, to understand Divine Mother, we have to also understand that she kind of is a trickster energy as well. So, if we believe in any of the stories she tells, if we believe in any embodiment that she is, if we believe that some dimensions are real and some are not, then we are just in the illusion of all her cosmic dreams. And the key as a being in any dimension is to understand that all dimensions are just her dreams. And of course, we all are dreaming. Every single being in every single dimension. We have 12 dimensions that we can access right now because we have the potential. And so when we align our own energetic systems through the physical body and above and below, then we can have access to 12 dimensions. Now, in these 12 dimensions, we will find so many different worlds, and it's infinite. And if we start believing that one of them is real, then we are missing the point that actually nothing is real, and that even Divine Mother, as real as she is the creation and the creator. She is the cosmic dream herself.
Wow.
It's big.
It's so big. It's so big and so convoluted. But yet you really bring it to us in a very simple way so that we can understand. But still, our mind has to, it really expands your consciousness, when you actually learn these concepts. So it's incredible. So she is everything and nothing at the same time.
That's right. Actually, it's very simple. The simplest way to imagine it is really the infinity symbol. So when you have infinity symbol, it's the horizontal 8. It only has 2 loops and it only has one middle point. And beyond all of creation, that's what creation is. The 2 loops are the 2 loops through which Divine Mother creates. That's why I say she creates through duality, which also is, the black and white and the yin and yang symbol. But in the middle, there is that point between, and it's beyond the loops, right? It connects the loops, and that is the source. And the way to source is through that pure intelligence of Christ consciousness, which is a completely neutral love. It's so neutral that it doesn't care about the right and left. It doesn't care about the light and dark. It becomes so neutral, so indifferent. It 0 points itself that it has access to source. And so we have really this incredible adventure of life. And the best way to understand life is that the stories will never end, the worlds will never end, and that Divine Mother is a creator. She will make sure that her creation keeps on expanding. So she will keep on creating worlds and we will help her. We are also creators, so we help to create worlds. But then none of these worlds are really real. They are the stories. And beyond all of that is source. But if we were in source, we would be outside of really this fun game, And we want to have fun. She wants to have fun. And so the goal of life it has two really just very simple goals. One is to create, 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 and never run out of ideas. But number two is to remember that everything is a dream and that we are creators and that our truth is complete nothingness. And that is the source energy, the Christ energy. And that's it.
Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, so the 0 point is the Christ consciousness.
It is. And the ancient shamans of Mexico, we have shamans all around the world who figured out something. They figured out something very disturbing.
What is it?
The more they got to know Divine Mother, they became indifferent. And the Taoists, same thing. The more they got to know her, the more indifferent they became. Indifferent meaning saying, I know, this is just creation. It's happening. It's not that I'm really dying. No, it's not. I know everything's eternal. It doesn't really matter because I'll always be eternal. So all the stories, they don't really matter. They just entertain, you know?
The more spiritual we become, I realize the more detached we are, because we're like, it's okay. It's not as if nothing is the end of the world, because life is a process. So even death, although our human self needs to process that, once you become more spiritual, I find that there is this knowing that it is death is not the end.
Absolutely.
And death is just a process, is just transitioning to another state, basically, or just being still in this not unconditional but eternal state that we are, and just transition into another experience. That's all it is. But I think it's our humanness that actually is mourning the lost, I think.
Definitely. Death is a big topic for Divine Mother because she doesn't believe in it.
Yeah. Oh, I actually don't either, because I have a very powerful experience a few years ago where I've actually, oh, here we go again. I'm out of focus. So I'm just gonna turn this on and off. There you go. So I had a beautiful dream a few years ago, and where I felt what I was actually, I became. It's interesting to say that, to share this, but I will. So I had a dream where I got prepared for that dream to experience that. I dreamt that I was Jesus Christ, as you do, as you do. And so I had this huge, huge light just come through me as I was sleeping, massive light. And then I saw myself going just like we would imagine Jesus Christ, with hands, palms open like this, head slightly tilted. I felt like I was, and I saw a reflection of me as being Jesus Christ. So, and I said, I am Jesus Christ. And I saw these beautiful, I think they were angels, looking very identical, the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life, looking at me with loving eyes, and all I could see was love. And I had to sleep. I woke up very late, and before my dream, I saw a massive flash of like a star in my house. And I remember seeing lots of like flashes of light and little things, flashing around. And I was like, okay, well, what's that about? Anyway, so I had that dream, and the next day I woke up, and I woke up at like 1 p.m. because it was so intense. And I woke up and I had my breakfast, and I remembered my dream, and I cried, but of joy, And I thought, and I said to myself, I can actually sleep, I can actually die right now. This is it, like for me, it was like, it was just such a beautiful and profound dream that I had. I was ready to die right there. If I for me I it was that was it, like I've reached that state. It felt, I didn't actually ask for it. I didn't even know what the Christ consciousness was at the time. I've heard of it, but I didn't know it was a thing, to be fair. So I didn't try to get to, I didn't force the event, it just happened. And for about a month, I literally felt like Jesus Christ. I was literally running after every single being in need, trying to help them. It was just bigger than myself. And but eventually I've actually pulled myself out of it because I was way too, I mean, the amount of energy you have when you are in that state is tremendous. So, and that's where actually I stopped fearing death. Literally, it just stopped me from fearing death. I was like, I no longer fear death anymore, and that was a relief. Not that I was thinking about death, or but I remember being scared of death, of what could come, if I die. And after that dream, I was like, don't care. Nothing bad will happen. So that was a great experience that I had.
You know, that's a very beautiful experience. And
Thank you.
Christ consciousness, really, it is, like the yogis call it Krishna. So it has so many different names and it doesn't matter. It is really the energy that we call the golden light.
Hmm.
And when this energy comes into us, which it really does, and you describe it exactly the way that it really happens, we don't ask for it. We cannot really ask for certain things. It has to happen when we are ready.
Hmm.
And the divine knows when we are ready because we resonate differently. And so when you are in that resonance, the energy could sink into you and then you could experience it and really Christ consciousness. And that's why it is the portal back to, source, is that we realize that we are all love and that there is zero, really zero fear. And that's something that we are not used to as a human because we always have some kind of subconscious fears, or we are part of this fear-based reality, really. And so when we step, well, when Christ consciousness steps into us as this all-encompassing love, it also completely deletes every single fear we've ever had, in this lifetime, in other lifetimes. And so we really become completely the absence of fear, and we become the absolute presence of love. And that, I think, is our destiny. We all, as humanity, will step into this Christ consciousness. We will become Christed beings, all of us. And I still have to come up with a better way. Yogananda, he calls Christ cosmic intelligence. And so maybe cosmic intelligence is the word, but, words do not matter. It's the experience. That's very
Absolutely.
beautiful.
So I'd love to. We talked about it already, but I'd like to go a little bit further. Sophia, Christ, essence or light. So there is Sophia, which means wisdom, and Christ, which is the state you've just described. And I've heard of. So for me, Sophia was the mother, the divine mother. But at the same time, it's wisdom. I know that she's everything. She's even the Christed consciousness, right? She is all. But would you like to clarify that? I feel like for me, it's Sophia Christ is a bit like the yin and yang symbol. But she's also the alchemy of both energies. But she's also source energy that you've just described, from which the Divine Mother um, was born. So I've got so many questions. So I think if you
Yeah.
can,
Well,
clarify all of that for us.
yeah, absolutely. I think again, names, we can, it's confusing when we start giving things names,
Yeah.
but if we want to, so let's just look at it back to that infinity symbol. So let's
Mm.
say there is source, and the source is the point in the middle,
Mhm.
and the source needs to spread throughout creation. So we have the two loops, which are the really arms of Divine Mother. Within those two loops, we have the entire cosmos, the many universes, the so many worlds, so many dimensions. We have really zillions of beings, right? From so many dimensions and worlds.
Mm.
And then we do have that Christed point in the middle, which immediately leads to source, which is right behind it. And so really to say, is there a connection between Christ and Sophia and source? Of course, it's all one, really. But like in the sound of Om, in the yogi tradition, the sound is not spelled O-M, but it is A-U-M. And so it's three different letters, and those are the letters of the really Trinity. And so we have Divine Mother, we have Christ, and we have Source. And that's it. It's just three elements. And so everything is based in this Trinity. So people call, it was the Gnostics who really started with the tradition of Christ and Sophia. But again, it's good to question, how did they come up with that? And I think for us now, we have so many new revelations. It's good to open our minds and to say, Divine Mother, she actually is in all of nature, but she also is the unmanifested nature. And actually, I travel through 12 dimensions. And so when I travel through 12 dimensions, then I was actually blown away to find one thing, many things, but
I can imagine.
So I tell you what I found in every single dimension.
Oh yeah, that's what we want to know. What is the constant, basically?
The constant is nature.
It's nature, as we see it, as we know it.
As here we depleted Mother Nature, but in her original essence, the perfect nature, the plants, the trees, those are in every dimension. And I tell you why. This is pretty fascinating. So Divine Mother, as much as she loves to create, she likes to leave a clue behind so that we can always find the truth outside of every story she tells us. And so she is in every plant, she is in every tree, she is in the planet, in the earth, right? She actually is in the nature. And so if you go and sit in nature and listen deeply, which is what our native people did, right? You can find every answer to divinity. So the divine is actually encoded into nature. And that's why our shamans were working with nature. They only try to understand nature, right? Because from nature, they found divinity. And this is the biggest mystery, actually. When humans started to get rid of nature and created cities, got rid of trees, got rid of really nature, then they disconnected themselves from this divine intelligence. And so we are like a lost race, really. And I, say things about humanity that not everybody will like, but I really think that it's okay. We just tried what it's like to be disconnected. But that is the importance of coming back to nature. And I do travel to what we call the New Earth. And the New Earth is just like in the movie Avatar. It is when nature dominates. And then the beings, the new humans, they integrate into nature and she sustains them. It's very different from some stone age. It's not going back in time, it's going forward in time, where we become integrated into nature. And I visited the New Earth several times, and one of the visits I had was very interesting. When I arrived in the New Earth, not only is it full of nature and you can already communicate with beings who live there, but also they explained to me, these beings, that our hearts will change, and that when we are in the New Earth, it will be our heart that will be making decisions. But the decisions will be made based on information that our hearts will read from nature. She is attaching her computer self to our hearts, and she will give us the code, and we will only be able to make a good decision. It's pretty amazing.
So I can't wait for that world to.
I know.
Like, I cannot wait. You have no idea. So now I want to know more. Well, first of all, about dimensions. If you could tell us a few things about those dimensions, but also New Earth. So maybe let's get started with New Earth, because this is where we're heading at. And then what's beyond 5D? Basically,
Yeah.
if you could give us a bit of information about that, because I'm sure we could spend like a year just talking about each dimension, but just give us like a bit of information, so at least our human brain can actually understand what those dimensions are all about.
Totally. So first of all, we all already have multi-dimensional selves.
Mhm.
And so you already exist in 12 dimensions. It is
Mhm.
just that most people don't perceive it that way. And so yourself already has a higher self and another higher self and another higher self. And the higher you go, the more perfect that higher self becomes. Now, there are dimensions like we can call it numbers, like people call it 3D. So let's call it 3D. If you imagine all dimensions as a tower, then each floor of the tower will be a dimension. And this is just to explain it very clearly. So let's say I'm in the 3D dimension. There is nature giving me information. And if I'm smart enough and intuitive enough, I will be able to decode life in any dimension from nature. Each dimension was designed purposefully to create almost like I would call it like a playground. And so each playground is slightly different so that you can have different games taking place. So in the third dimension, the playground within the tower had very small access to true divinity, to source. So our access was actually by design limited. And that's just to create different conditions because we want to find out what is possible within the cosmic dream. So then you go to the fourth dimension and access to source would be slightly bigger, but really nothing, dramatic. Fifth dimension, slightly bigger, really not yet at all something really that we could call, open access. And then you go higher and higher in dimensions. And even like when I am in the in the ninth dimension, you realize that you actually are part of a collective. And in the ninth dimension, you will find what we can call our soul family. And that means that we are no longer just an individual, we are part of a whole collective of souls. Really interesting. And then we go higher, and access to source only becomes almost unlimited in the 11th dimension, but it is still limited. You have full visibility of source. You understand that it exists. You fully see it, you know it. This is your highest self, is in the 11th dimension. And only in the 12th dimension you become one with source. You actually transcend all dimensions. And then the 12th dimension is where we would find our ultimate being that is one with source and is unlimited. It's really interesting, but even in the 12th dimension, you still have your individual consciousness, but you no longer have a body, you no longer have a form. You become formless, just like Cosmos herself. But you suddenly know that you are one with all and you don't have your, limited self. You just expand to the consciousness of Cosmos. So now let's say people say we are going into the fifth dimension. I cannot promise you that that is the truth, but this is the way that Divine Mother explains it to me. She says that Mother Earth has been long limited in her fabric of reality because obviously of what took place on planet Earth for millions of years, and especially the last 12,000 years. And she is the one, it is her destiny, it is her soul who is now taking on the next evolutionary level. And she is expanding her own fabric to the next dimension. And with that, we all have to move with her. We all will have to fit into her expansion. And so she is the one who is simply expanding her own being. And so we had systems here like the financial system, educational system, the way that we work, the way that we do everything really was is now becoming outdated. And we will all have to realize that we need absolutely everything needs to be restructured. And actually, even better than that, we will dream new systems into being. Because, going from, let's say, if that's true, from third dimension to fifth dimension, it really is not a huge difference because we still have so many more dimensions.
Yes, absolutely. It's
But
seven more after
yeah,
this one.
but it's so much better than, where we're coming from right now.
Absolutely, and I totally agree when you say that it's becoming outdated. I mean, everything looks and seems so ancient. When I'm saying ancient, not in a good way, like sacred ancient teachings. It's
Yeah.
just very like, oh wow, are we still doing this? You know, are we still thinking like this? Are we still having these banking systems? It's just um it can be a little bit tricky sometimes when you feel so not disconnected, but you are part of this world, but you don't resonate with what's running, the structures and the systems which are running, and you're aspiring for something else. So I see myself aspiring for living in a community. I want more nature, just like you said. I want to be more in alignment with nature. To I want a definitely a different life than the one that I used to have. And I mean, sometimes it can be tricky. Where do you start? Where do you begin? You might say, well, start at the beginning, which I will. but it can be, yeah, it can be a little bit tricky because depending where you are, and depending the people who are around you, your family, my family, they accept the fact that I am, I am who I am. I am the way I am, and they they let me do my thing. But it could be tricky when you're the only one in your family who's aspiring for something very radically different. And but it's the right thing to do. So if anybody feels this way, you're not alone. There are other people like you out there who are, we are transitioning. And I think the transitional period can be a little bit tricky, although it's exciting, but it can be also tricky. I think I am coming out of the trickiness, but in the excitement of it. But I still don't know actually how to not manifest, but materialize the life that I actually envision for myself, which is a very simple life, I find. The more I move into my spirituality, the more I cherish simple things, and I realize that I don't need much. And I want to be close to nature and be surrounded by people that I love and who love me, and who, all I want to do is just to express my truth. And those are very simple and basics, but, you know, I feel like that's where I'm heading at. That's
It's
what I want for myself.
very beautiful. And I have about 10 more minutes, but I wanted to share with you one thing now that we brought this up. Divine Mother gave me really a recipe how to create the world that we would desire.
Yeah.
So it's very simple and it's very different from manifesting, I think. So, Divine Mother is also in all animals.
Mm.
She is not only in trees, but she's in animals. And in her world, she finds it not very, let's call it logical,
Mm.
for us humans to be consuming her body because we already are her body. And so that is because it includes suffering, any type of killing. And I know people say, oh, these cows, they were, free range, and then we killed them compassionately. And I think,
Yeah.
within her world, it doesn't exist. Killing is killing. So also other dimensions, they always look at us as, how do we treat animals? Because animals are very important frequency holders. Now
Mm.
I'm saying that because Divine Mother was teaching me how to create the new world. I personally have become a vegan and vegetarian many, like really decades ago. And I find it really painful when I see the suffering of especially cows, because of where I live, they, just humans put animals through so much suffering. So I was looking at the suffering and I was feeling pain. And Divine Mother came to me and she says, well, because you're feeling just pain and you feel anger, you cannot manifest a better world from pain and anger. She said, when you see something that normally you would say, I hate this, I don't like this, I'm angry about it, or I don't want this. she said, when we feel that, we cannot manifest the new world. We have to go into that indifferent neutrality, which is very hard when you're facing suffering. But she said it's because that's how creation works. You have to see it and say, okay, what do I want? So I've seen suffering, but I don't say I hate it. I say, what do I want? And she said, once you come up with what it is that you want, as you face that which you don't want, if that makes sense,
Yep.
you just give all your attentions to what do I want. So I say, okay, perfectly compassionate world for animals, for children, abundance for all, peace for all, love for all. And she said it's really important actually that we understand that when we don't like something, we cannot have the energy within us. We must immediately switch gears and go into, okay, so what do I love? And that will bring the creation. And so, as we are now really in this amazing time and space where we have this opportunity, which is, it will last till about 2022, we have this amazing window of opportunity to completely create a new world, new systems. And you are right, like we don't need the banking or financial system we have right now. It's a stupid one. It doesn't honor everyone. And so it's asking ourselves, okay, so if I just really desire from the bottom of my heart, from that love, you know, it always has to come from love, a world with abundance and well-being and thriving for all. That's it. You know, someone will figure out the system, but if I don't know how that system should work, at least I put this idea out there that can create new systems.
I love that. That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Divine Mother, for this. And before we go, I'd like to talk about your book. It's not out there, but it's called The 33 Codes Blueprints for New Earth. And it's not available. It's definitely a book that I will buy when it's out there. So let us know when it's out. But what does, in a nutshell, what is this book about?
So basically, the 33 Codes, the Blueprint for the New Earth, is a book that I was given on higher planes when I entered the New Earth as a dimension. So I work with many different guides, but right now my major guide is Divine Mother, really. But again, she comes in different forms, and the way that she comes in a form to me right now is Hathor. So a very, special, ancient, cosmic, galactic, universal being.
Yeah.
And so I traveled to the New Earth in January 2021, and I was given the task to sit down for 33 days, every single day. And I would be receiving codes, which would be words, actually, information about creation. So I did that for 33 days. I listened, it all came. But the thing is that these codes really are coded. So it's not information that when you read it, you immediately understand it. It's meant to be coded so that it's more something that we study and that our future generations study. The 33 codes contain not only words, they actually, the most powerful thing about the codes is that they contain a vortex of energy. Every single book contains a vortex of powerful source light. I guarantee with my heart and soul that every single book was brought in with this vortex of source light, and that is because it's needed on planet Earth. Books usually have like plasma field around them, and depending on who wrote the book and depending on which being came through into the book, the plasma is different. So this book is really the plasmic vortex of Divine Mother and her team, and the book is going into print actually next week. And the goal is for these books to be distributed around the world to hold this new plasmic energy, this source energy, so that the entire network of consciousness on planet Earth can uplift. And the way that Divine Mother explained it to me is that when you think about our planetary network of consciousness as a web, or as a net, like a fisherman's net, then when enough of us can lift up the net, then everything within the net will be also lifted. Because we have enough people who are not ready to be lifted, but when we create the movement upwards into higher consciousness, everything within the net will move upwards too. And so she told me that every single book, it has to be in a printed form, it has to be in locations, will actually serve as these powerful energy vortices that will uplift the planetary net.
can feel the energy as you start
Mm.
talking about it. So powerful. Woo. So when will this be? When can we buy this book? So I'm really actually interested, even
Yes.
more now.
So it's going into print next week, so definitely within weeks. And you can definitely come to my website if you want to. I can share that. It's greentara.guru. And I say it's not because I'm a guru, but it's because .com was not available.
Okay. Oh, that's why you have Guru. That's a great name, by the way. So it's not .com, but it's .guru. Okay. Thanks for clarifying that, actually.
Yeah. I want to be honest.
Okay, so it will be available on your website.
Yes.
Okay, so okay, so before we go, I'd like you to tell us about your social media platforms and how can people connect with you as well. I'll definitely post all the links on the description box down below this video, but please, if you can tell us how we can connect with you. I know you have a Facebook page, I know you have a YouTube and a website, so if you can tell us more about them and the groups that you have created, especially on Facebook, which is a great group that I am a part of.
Definitely. So I would say the most useful way to connect with this work is to connect through YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And I post videos anytime that I have any information that Divine Mother wants to share. I just make a video. So the the YouTube is called Green Tara Guru. But also the easiest way to have access to that is if you go to my website, greentara.guru, and then you can find all the links on the website, and you can subscribe to the newsletter for other events that I do. All that I do is for free. The book obviously has to be printed, so it is not free, but I try to be of service as much as possible in all ways that Divine Mother calls me to be of service in.
Oh, and thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
Ness.
for all the wisdom. Thank you for sharing all of this. Thank you, Divine Mother. Thank you for all the beings who are watching this video today. So please feel free to share it, to comment, to like the video. Feel free to also follow me on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, using the handle at nesd.official, and my website is nesd.com. And Sandy, would you like to say something before we close this conversation?
Yes. I would say as we move through this big transition in 2021, 2022, always think of Divine Mother as a storyteller and don't pay attention to her stories.
Okay. All right, she's a storyteller, but don't. Okay, so basically, live your life, but don't not too seriously. Basically,
Exactly.
just
Have
have
fun.
fun, have
Play.
fun. Let's weave, create, have fun, and
Right.
I think it's wonderful because sometimes we're into our like little problems, and we forget that it's just to play a game, you know.
Totally.
So I think thank you very much for that message. So everybody, thank you for watching, sending you lots of love, lots of gratitude, and lots of blessings, and may your heart be touched by divine grace. Until next time, goodbye.